Wow. So talk about a moment that counts. And this is a moment that counts in a different way, because this is a moment that counts at scale. We're over here thinking big. We're thinking, how big can we go to create a lever that can create meaningful change in the way we all come together as a coalition of movements, that collectively we are doing the work of healing, growth, and facilitating flourishing wellness in the world on the largest scale possible. So in that context, I'm about to introduce you to two dear friends who have the capacity to actually do this work at scale. So firstly, I want to introduce you to Dr. Laurie Knudsen and Dr. Tracy Gaudet. It's the greatest honor to not only call you dear friends. I have to start by saying I love and appreciate you. You're both in my heart. When we start in the heart space, relationship before task. I mean, this is a relationship before task. And I've already done a video where I've actually set you up so people have a sense of who you are. But would you do each other the honor of introducing each other? So Tracy, I'm going to ask you to introduce Laurie to understand, so that we could all understand the extraordinary woman that Laurie is. Extraordinary woman that Laurie is. And then I'm going to actually, in the reverse, and help you anticipate. Laurie, would you do us the honor of introducing Tracy, so the world can understand the extraordinary woman she is? So please go
about
ahead.
it, right? Well, that's easy. So I can honestly, thank you, Danny. It's so great to be sharing these moments together. And I'll tell you, it's so easy for me to introduce Laurie as a phenomenal, amazing force in the universe, because from the first time I met her, which was probably 20, I don't know, Laurie, 25 years ago, something in that range. Laurie was leading the transformational effort at the Penny George Institute in Minneapolis, and I was starting with the University of Arizona program. And I felt this kindred spirit of this woman who could see big systems in a way that I think very few people can. And not only see them, but understand, if we're going to make huge transformational change that requires big system shifts, how do you do that? And Laurie stood out to me from the first time I met her, as she knows how to do that. She sees the world that way, and she knows how to dance with the world that way to make these massive changes that half the time people are like, oh, how fascinating. How did that shift? Because she's so artful what she does. And as a nurse, I'm a physician, so I've always honored that nurses understand and embody this transformation. We're trying to get the systems to catch up to what people like Laurie know and understand and live. And so now I have this opportunity to work with Laurie and co-creating whatever is going to be revealed here. And it is a real dream and honor. That's Laurie.
Okay. Laurie, I wanted you to add some things to that, because Tracy has given you just like, the essence of who you are. Could you do us the honor also of adding in, before you add back to the work that you've done at Duke, some of the practical things of like where you've been working at the system level. So please share with us that, and now what you're doing within the Whole Health Institute to support this initiative.
Sure. First of all, Trace, love you. Danny, love you. So it's been such an interesting journey in the last, 35 years? Gosh, I'm really not that old. I am. Yes, after the Penn Institute, which was 11 years of an amazing journey, I actually left that and started doing work with underserved populations and created an integrative program for the underserved. Most of those folks were homeless individuals. And it was a population that people believed integrative healthcare could not be applied to. And it was I think, a cellular purpose and mission to prove that otherwise. And I'm proud to say that that organization continues on, and it is true, no matter who you are on this planet, the role of integrative health, whole health, is applicable to all human beings. So from there, I actually went to New Jersey and started up a system-wide wellness, integrative health and medicine program for Hackensack Meridian Health, where we also expanded into community and worked with schools and faith-based community, civil service groups. Amazing opportunity. And then I was bid by a couple of people, Tracy, to join Duke in actually a new role, in part with Duke Integrative Medicine, but to develop Duke's Health and Wellbeing service line, which was an amazing opportunity. A lot of hard work in a very short period of time, but it was really amazing work. And then this person who I have known for a long time, Dr. Gaudette, came into my life and said, "Hey, there's this new thing going on, and I thought maybe you'd be interested." So let me just first introduce Tracy. And I actually believe she needs much of an introduction, but I'm going to tell it from my perspective. So as Tracy said, she and I met.
Let me understand, Lori. So right now you are serving as, would it be fair to say you are serving as Tracy's partner, as essentially the Chief Operating Officer of the Whole Health Institute? Did I capture that correctly?
And my work is focused on health system redesign, health system, not health care systems, but health systems redesign. So, and obviously that's enormous and has many components to it. But yes, I feel blessed to be in partnership with Tracy to do this work.
Beautiful. Okay. So
Tracy, who, as she mentioned, I met many years ago. And Tracy and I met at a Bravewell collaborative meeting, one of the very first meetings. Actually, I think we met before that.
But we were sitting next to... Share also about the Bravewell, I want people to understand the significance of the Bravewell collaborative, that's
sure.
important as well.
Yeah, and Tracy, please jump in if I missed something here. So the Bravewell collaborative was created many years ago, 2002, I think, back about that time. And it was really created initially by Penny George and Christy Mack, bringing philanthropists together who really believed in this work of integrative health. And the initiative was really to develop a national collaborative of those folks who were creating integrative health and medicine around the country, mostly in academic centers. The Penny George Institute at the time was not an academic center, but we were blessed to be part of that. And the Bravewell Collaborative did amazing work. I mean, helping institutions, developing a research network, education and training opportunities, and actually helping to support the academic consortium in integrative health and medicine.
I want you to, now that scale, right? So share a bit about the academic consortium. Who's the academic consortium?
Tracy, jump in here anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Do you want me to take the academic consortium one?
Yeah, and then come back because
I got to introduce her yet.
Yeah. Well, I want you to loop back, because then I want you, Lori, I want you to take that story further and tell about the amazing work that Tracy did within the Veterans Administration to actually create. So come back, but share what the academic consortium.
But I think the academic consortium story is really interesting example of this synchronicity, because while the Bravewell Collaborative was getting established mentally and then being birthed, independent, but also at the same time, the idea for the academic consortium was getting birthed. And actually, I was in these conversations, but I like being able to share the story that it was John Kabat-Zinn's idea, and a lot of people don't know that. And John's idea was much parallel to what I think you're saying now, Danny. Back then, he's looking around going, there's these academic institutions being led by chancellors and deans who are trying to do the right thing, but they're taking risks. They don't really have an experience of what it is. And they have no network to support themselves. So what if we brought the leading academic consortium, the leading academic folks together, not at our level, the integrative medicine or integrative health folks, but at the chancellor dean level, and allow them to have an experience of what we're now calling health, and support each other. And so John Kabat-Zinn said, I have this idea, but I don't have the time and energy to make it happen. I'm like, that's a great idea. I can help make it happen. I was at University of Arizona. And so we had this first meeting in 1998, I believe, in Kalamazoo, Michigan, with 8 of the leading institutions, and that birthed the academic consortium.
Okay,
which
so
is
can
now,
you mention those institutions? I want you to, or just some of them, but like a representation, and you can think about some of, as a group, like what were some of the most influential academic institutions that everybody's heard of?
Yeah.
That everybody's heard of. And just to say, I want to set up, John Kabat-Zinn is John Kabat-Zinn is responsible for actually bringing mindfulness into the mainstream. He founded the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. I believe it's, so anyway, he birthed that whole, he brought mindfulness into the mainstream. And here you are running with his idea for bringing, essentially conscious leadership.
Right. Oh, definitely.
At scale, right? And
definitely.
And then you're the one leading that, actually the initial kind of pilot that had actually evolved into something even bigger. So
he led it. I just organized it. So it was amazing. So just a couple of the big names, Harvard, Duke, UCSF, they were all there. University of Minnesota, Maryland. I'd have to make sure to cross-reference the list because I'm missing a few.
Well, you get the idea. I mean, you get the idea.
Yeah, Arizona. I forgot Arizona. The lead places that had leading efforts, and it was amazing. And these guys were like, "We're gonna what? Meditate?" It was great. It was great.
So pick up, if you can now, Laurie, I'm just mindful.
Can I introduce her now?
Yes, please do, because I know we've got 10 or 15 minutes left, and there's a couple of important elements of the story. But I want you to know, I'm going to put another video on the next video in the sequence that's going to take the work that Tracy, Laurie, and I did further, where you will hear about the work we did together. But I want to kind of get to to thread enough time to actually take from what happened yesterday with our conversation with Susie Ellis, who's a visionary. I mean, a visionary in the global wellness movement, has the Global Wellness Summit, an institute, but she's chair of that, and thread all these connections together. But I want you to understand the history of where we've been and actually the future of where we're going, with incredible promise for how we can change the world. So I want you to have, when we talk about these things, it sounds pie in the sky, but I want you to thread enough connectivity to give you all assurances, this is manifest. We're going to make this happen. So keep going with the story now, as what Tracy did in the VA transformation, and then that thread of the story. I'll let you pick up on the story from there. So if you set that up, how Alice Walton came into the picture to help set up the Whole Health Institute for the work that you're doing now at scale in the world. Laurie.
So Tracy and I, as I said, go way back. And first, let me just say, Danny, I wish you had a little bit more energy around this.
Okay. God damn.
Tracy and I met a long time ago. And just to be quite honest, I think in the moment that we met, we were both single moms. So we had that commonality. And I said to Tracy, you remind me of other nurses. And I say that not because doctors don't have hearts, but she came from a place that was so absolutely authentic about humanity and not just care and treatment. And that's the from which we connected. It's the care and the humanity in that care, and not interventions, whether it's integrative interventions or medical interventions. And we shared that. And that sort of created a sisterhood. And quite frankly, through my different journeys, Tracy has connected with me over that period of time. And when she left Duke and went on to the VA, we connected again. So she involved me in some ways there.
Did you meet at Duke? Is that the place where you, I mean, you knew each other before, but you were
Tracy actually, I met Tracy when she was at Arizona and then reconnected when she was at Duke. Yeah.
But that's interesting because Tracy was doing leadership training at Duke. So can you mention just even that thread of this? Because am I right in thinking, Tracy, you went from Arizona to Duke and then from Duke to VA? So
I did, but the leadership the leadership training started after I left Duke. So and then Laurie took it to entirely new levels.
Okay, so what was your role at Duke? Just so everybody knows, what was your role at Duke?
My role?
Yes.
I was the executive director of Duke Integrative Medicine.
Oh, just a small title. Okay. Okay.
Well, then when Laurie came in, it was bigger, which is so cool because it went from being integrative medicine kind of in a box to Duke going, this has to be across the system. So that was really exciting that when Laurie went to Duke, it was that plus the entire, what was your title, Laurie? Vice President of Health and Wellbeing or something?
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. So now you get the scale of this, and now we're going even bigger because now Tracy is going into the Veterans Administration. Talk about the ultimate in bureaucracy, government bureaucracy, and think about like how you create a lever of possibility to create transformation at the system level within the VA to run essentially the integrative health revolution within the VA. Back to you, Laurie.
So here's what I would tell you about Tracy. So I don't know of any, honestly can say this, I don't know anyone else could have stepped in. She was never a part of a government organization. Right now, the VA, very bureaucratic. Tracy, the reason she excelled and the reason she created a national whole health initiative with VA is because she's the kind of leader who is charismatic, and that is a very unique set of skills.
No, Laurie,
charismatic because she dropped. It
just dropped out. She said she was charismatic and you added
what
something
was the
grounded.
And grounded.
And grounded.
Cool.
Charismatic and grounded. And I said that there can't be more of a unique skill set because the charisma draws inspiration, excitement, and the right people to you to do the work. The grounded gets the work done.
Yeah.
And that takes a very unique person. And I think it's divinely inspired. And Tracy and I have had this conversation that we are blessed by facilitating what wants to be born and unfold. And it's no mistake she's an OBGYN, right? She's birthing. So, I mean, many people know Tracy's work at the VA, but it is extraordinary. I mean, a huge bureaucratic system that now, I don't know that there's one VA that doesn't have some sense of the whole health model as part of its delivery to the vets and the employees who take care of the vets. It's extraordinary, the work that's been done. And again, Tracy obviously doesn't do that alone. She has the ability to draw the right people who share that common vision to actually transform a system, which is incredible. And in transforming the system, you're in transforming people's lives, which is what this work is really about.
Wow. So
thank you, Laurie.
I think that's a wonderful place of transition for Tracy to pick up on the story in terms of what happened in the VA system and how it came to be that you left the VA for an even bigger purpose than that. So actually, I'm mindful of time. I'm hoping, Tracy, you might be able to, I'm sensing we probably need another 10 minutes for this. Is there any way you can push your meeting back at the top of the hour and just...
Yeah, let me do that. Okay. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
So I can be pretty succinct about it because I would say that first, thank you, Laurie. That's so touching to me. And I appreciate that you see the grounded get stuff done thing, because that's what I love the most. And a lot of times people think, oh, you speak the vision, that's great. But if we speak it, but we don't execute, it doesn't matter. So more along that line, I was not looking to leave the VA because our work isn't entirely done. And I thought the only thing that could pull me away was something that had an opportunity to take this transformation to an even bigger level, a broader level, reach more lives. And so when I was asked to consider this role, Alice Walton, who is an amazing visionary.
Can you just share, because I don't know that, I mean, Alice Walton is clearly an icon, but not everybody would know the scale of who she is. So maybe can you just share a thumbnail about who is Alice Walton?
Yeah, and actually I just was talking to her about it this week, because I was talking to her about how she shares so freely her own story. And her own story of, like, when people say, well, why are you standing up this whole health institute? She goes straight to her own personal journey, and she told me she's always.
Before you even get there, just before you even tell that dimension of the story, like just like the brief bio of who is Alice Walton,
well, Alice Walton is daughter of Sam and Helen Walton, who established, who created Walmart. So she's really renowned in a lot of ways because of what her dad did, and then the wealth that comes with that. Which is, a complicated topic. And I think it's really created a sensitivity in Alice around people that don't have the ability to access all that she's had. So her vision for whole health is, through her own pain and suffering, which again, she speaks freely of. She learned about the shortcomings in conventional health, like it saved her life. She had a lot of suffering, and it was only through her own journey that she discovered other ways to heal. And her vision is to make that available and accessible to all people in all communities. So when I was approached about the opportunity, I thought, is this for real? Like, A, is the vision as big as they say? Because that's a pretty vision. And B, do they understand what it's going to take to do it? Because it's not something you can just throw money and make happen. It's definitely not simple. And so the answer to both of those questions, once I engaged in the dialogue, is, wow, yes, like this is, and I'll just say briefly that, I think the role of the Institute, just as you have highlighted, Danny, in all of your conversations and all of your relationships, there are huge numbers of amazing people doing this work, doing transformational work in all of these different areas, and how we deliver healthcare, and how we educate, and how we address employee wellness, and all of these different domains. And people are trying to drive this transformation and doing really good work. So what we think the role of the Institute can be,
can you just be very clear when we're talking about the Institute, because there's the Global Wellness Institute that I mentioned. This is the
right. So this is the Whole Health Institute, right? Yes. The Whole Health Institute that Laurie and I lead. So the real vision is to help catalyze the transformational efforts across all of these systems that are currently pretty siloed. Like, we have to transform the payer system, and the delivery system, and the education system, and the food system, and the list goes on. We have a list of 13.
And you're adding into the education and government, all of these, and healthcare. So it's going through 13 segments of society, right? I mean, that was a lot of count. So I just want to understand the breadth of this.
Yeah, it's huge. I call it the transformation of the system of systems, because each one of those complex systems that needs transformation, and if they're not integrated and aligned, it's still not going to work.
Yeah.
So we think that philosophy and approach is something that the Whole Health Institute can do and support, that currently isn't getting done. So and I'll just progress into how our work together, Danny, has created the foundation for that, which is, I absolutely know and believe that if we don't live that transformation, we're not going to be effective in the world, right? We're not going to be effective in executing on the vision if we ourselves in our own day-to-day work, in our relationship with each other, are not engaging in this awakened consciousness in how we lead. So I know that that is incredibly important. And I was wondering, how the heck am I going to do that, especially in COVID times? So we're building a team and people are jumping onto this team, having never even met each other in person, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so foundational to everything we need to do. And if we don't get the foundation right, we're never gonna execute on the vision. And how am I going to do that? And so then along comes Danny Friedland, who, even though we've had parallel lives and careers, we never met until last fall, like just a little bit over a year ago, which is crazy. And instant in love, right? Like passion around the work, alignment around the vision, and the opportunity to have you, Danny, build that foundation with our team virtually, which I was like, can this even work? Is this possible? Was absolutely, I mean, absolutely hands down the foundation that we needed and we will continue to build on as we look at awakening conscious leadership in each and every one of our team. And I'm so grateful to you and partnering with us in that. And it's phenomenal. We all have our hearts by the, I mean, it lives and breathes in every meeting we have. Yeah. And we need to just keep building upon that.
So I want to just add, because it threads into something else, that 2-day program we did online on Zoom, the Awakening Conscious Leadership program we did online in June, is the same program that we used as the baseline and modeled for the exchange community. Just last week did the Awakening Conscious Leadership deep dive for the exchange community that was based on our work that we did together, which was inspired by actually I had been trained in exchange. So we designed the program around exchange. I delivered that for you. And then I went back with John Berghoff, and we delivered that in partnership with John Berghoff for his own community. So there's a beautiful kind of synergy. And now we actually have this program that's even more mature than the program that I did for you. And we have this product that we've built that can actually be leveraged back into your ecosystem, where you can continue to do the work of, for the folks that are coming into your ecosystem, we now have something that comes back in and can endure to keep this flourishing going.
Awesome. Danny, may I just make a comment about that experience with our team? Because I think, initially I was sharing with Tracy the same concern about how we were going to do this on Zoom with people that we had never actually even met in person, right? And in 2 days, the depth and breadth of the lived experience that you brought forward collectively was really beyond what I would have comprehended. And what that did for us is, as Tracy said, it has created this thread. So when we're together and someone is suffering in any way, shape, or form, and there's been a lot of that going on, we now have these things like the heart and our energy to each other. Yeah. And I would just say it actually unlocked for us the ability to be much more personal and deep with each other in a way that I wouldn't have thought we could have.
Right.
So can I suggest that we do something now that's kind of like a bit, can I suggest, because I'm mindful that there are a lot of people everywhere around the world watching this video and they're watching it at their own time. Can we actually throw that love for who's ever watching right now, for you? Let us just kind of let's go for the deepest version of this. Put our hand on our hearts first. Put our hands on our heart. So from our hearts, collective hearts, we're going to rub our hands. And here we're throwing this love for you and your family who's ever watching. So, and that's the spirit of this thing. Everything we're sharing over here is always mindful of serving who's ever listened. So we want to serve you well in this conversation. So I'm mindful, and there's going to be another thread of where we'll take this further in the next video, but I just want to use the last couple of minutes to extend an invitation, because I did a preamble. So actually, Tracy and Laurie have already been networked into understanding the actual scale of the Global Wellness Summit and the Global Wellness Institute. And in fact, Alice Walton, with Deepak Chopra, who sits on the Whole Health Institute board, right?
Yep.
They've attended prior Global Wellness Summits. So we're already networked in this. I just shared with we're talking about this Living Well from Within channel being a coalition of healing movements. But trying to figure out, well, how do we convene to actually make substantial change happen? And the miracle of what happened with Susie Ellis's invitation yesterday, the chair of the Global Wellness Summit and the Global Wellness Institute, is that actually Susie Ellis offered an invitation for Living Well from Within to become a new initiative within the Global Wellness Institute. So what that does is it gives us actually a physical place to convene. So first of all, I would love to extend the invitation, first and foremost, to join this initiative, the Living Well from Within initiative, the Whole Health Institute. Each of you represent the Whole Health Institute. So it's both a personal invitation, but it's an invitation for the entire Whole Health Institute to be the first invitee into, as an organization level, that creates a gravitational pull for other organizations joining, to join the initiative. And then I want to kind of just mention that I want to offer a second invitation. So I want to invite you as the first organization being invited into being a part of this coalition of living well from within the Global Wellness Institute. So let me put that invitation out there.
Wow. Wow. Like the first two, that's amazing, Danny. And I think we wholeheartedly, on behalf of our whole institution, which isn't that big yet, institute, but we're getting there. I know each and every one of us will be thrilled and honored, and Alice as well, to accept that invitation. That's pretty awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, so this is awesome. I feel so blessed and honored for your participation in this endeavor that is far larger than any of us individually. This for me is, it feels like this is scripted by the grace of God. So we are in the field of miracles with this convening. So I just want to, and we're aligned in that field. So it's not about any one of us. It's about creating a coalition that is inspired by this, whatever this force field of miracles is. So I am so delighted to be in service of catalyzing our gathering. Actually, ironically, through my brain cancer. It's through my brain cancer because it's been catalytic because it's created a heart space by which this can all move through. Mm. And then the second invitation is I would love to invite you both, and with Alice Walton, to consider joining us in Israel. Hopefully we'll be on the tail end of COVID, where I want us to imagine ourselves in a room full together of other extraordinary leaders and organizations doing the work together, coming together in collaboration to shape the future of wellness and whole health in the world together.
That's phenomenal. What do you say, Laurie? You want to go?
Okay.
Wow.
That's amazing, Danny. That's so amazing.
So I'm setting the intention. I'm imagining us. I'm imagining how blessed there are people that are imagining when the coalition assembles, that this would be a coalition of movements like conscious capitalism, the leaders of conscious capitalism, the leaders of the American Association of Physician Leadership, the leaders of, well, we've already got the leaders of the Global Wellness Institute, the leaders even of the entrepreneurs organization. There's so many coalitions of movements that are, I'm even thinking of, my next conversation is with Chip Connolly from the Modern Elder Academy. I'm even thinking about Chip. I'm just thinking I know I'm forgetting about 10 other organizations that I'm currently networked with. So apologies for that. But I'm imagining us all getting together, and I'm imagining how inspired all those other leaders are going to be to meet you, and how you're going to bless them. And I'm also going to imagine how you'll be inspired to meet them, and just this glorious work that we can do together as a coalition.
Right.
To serve the world, at scale in terms of the healing, growth, and need to facilitate flourishing wellness at this important time of both need and opportunity. And it doesn't escape me that, with the change of administration that we have now, that we've opened a lane where we can actually have this work flourishing in the world again. And so my deepest hope as well is that we have some representation from the President-elect Biden or Vice President-elect Kamala Harris campaign. And I'm imagining that either one of them will attend to join us, or that we'll have high-level representation from the government to actually be with high-level representation of government in Israel to be a part of this at scale. So now we're actually bringing in that dimension as well. So that's setting a pretty large intention for how we could lever this to create meaningful transformation in the world at this time of need and opportunity.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the kind of coalition that really, as you're describing, I think couldn't have happened without, the crisis that we're in globally. And, as you referenced, Danny, as painful as your diagnosis is, somehow that catalyzes to new levels too, and accelerates everything, right? It's like, okay, like time is now.
Yeah.
And we're in that with you every step of the way.
Well, I give this over as the grace of this is, it's a cosmic script. I mean, I'm just a faithful servant in this, in feeling called to serve in this catalytic moment at this moment of now. And I'm so blessed that we have connected, because with my connection with you and the extraordinary work you're doing, that's what gives me optimism in knowing that we can lever the world. We can leverage this for the benefit of the world. So I am so excited that everybody has met you. And to be continued. So we can wrap here, and I would love to give both of you, perhaps Laura, if you want to offer you a thumbnail of what you're feeling most appreciative of in this moment, and then Tracy, what you're feeling most appreciative in this moment, and then I want to leave you with the last word, but I just want to end with saying how much I appreciate each one of you and the extraordinary work that you're committed to doing in the world, the extraordinary work of transformation that you're looking to contribute to the world. It is immense, and I want to also express appreciation to Alice. And I hope Alice gets to watch this video to feel adequately honored with the largeness of her vision because of what she wants to see the world. And I hope she feels, for what she's offering in her patronage, in understanding how far her reach can go with this work collectively.
So my word, Danny, is grace. I just feel a deep grace, collective grace.
Yeah. You're perfect. Beautiful.
And I'm deeply grateful for this, for you, which will make me cry, and for my journey with you, and for this moment together.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I have to add to that is when I was on my hospital bed and I asked the question, what matters most now? It was, the answer that came back was make every moment count, and make every moment count in loving intensely loving relationships, of cycles of giving, receiving loves, giving and receiving love together, and leaving a legacy with this work.
Mm-hmm.
And right here, right now, this has been a moment that counts.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.